I want to elevate everyone around me. Like, that's just what I believe. I believe that my story is that he took everybody on the journey with him and made them into kind of like superstars. Well, I started as a hairdresser because I believe in, like, I wanted to learn a trade. I believe in that for just, that's my style. I believe in people learning a skill, in learning a trade, because you've got something to fall back on. So hence why I've got the businesses that I've got within my complex, because they're all kind of like quite skilled, trade driven, because I want to teach that to people. Because I want to set them up for life. That's my plan. My career as a hairdresser, I actually worked for Tony and Guy, and I know now Tony and Guy is like just on every street corner or on every high street. But when I started, they weren't even in every major city. They were just in a few places, and it was just something that was seen as, like, I guess, super exclusive. And I think that brand probably was one of the very first brands as a fashion brand, exclusive fashion brand, to come onto the high street. So it gave people access to this prestigious lifestyle that they were selling. And so, I was fortunate enough to try and work with Tony and Guy. I was fortunate that I had an idea to do a party on a Sunday, which nobody else was doing, a party for everyone, mixed party. There's other people that kind of had a similar idea at the same time, so we kind of like joined forces, and just had a really good time for about probably about 7-8 years or something like that. Prior to that, how I got into it was there was like a club in the city. That was kind of like the club that everybody was going to, that anybody who's a mover and shaker, as people would kind of label them, I guess. They were like, do you want to be a door picker? Well, obviously a door picker, the person who runs the guest list on the most prominent club in this city of that era, of that decade or whatever, and an Asian guy to do it for a club that's predominantly like whites and like, there was some prestigious like black people as well, mainly footballers and stuff, but to get that kind of like, I guess, status isn't probably the easiest thing to do, and I don't even know how I did it. I think the partnership in the beginning was very good because there's 3 of us, so we all brought something different to the table, and so I started a Sunday party with some friends, acquaintances. We definitely became friends in the process. And I think I was just like a bit of a live wire, really. I was partying, I was enjoying the partying, I was the party, I was fronting the party, and it just grew. The first party was I think it was about 350, 400 people. The second party was 1,600. The third party was 2,400. Like, there was no kind of like, it just went poof. Like, there's no way you could even do every Sunday, because what we did was we just brought it. Like, we did themes, we did set designs, costumes. Oh God, we just made it into a circus. It was like a production that you would expect in a club in Ibiza. And people hadn't experienced it. So obviously when you give consumers something they haven't experienced it, they're just like, wow, what? We want more. And it definitely became like an international brand, because then we did events in Ibiza. I lived in Ibiza for like 2 years, or shall I say 2 seasons, which really gave me a really, really different understanding of life. Creativity, design, fashion, people. Then I had a falling out with my partners. You know, the weird thing is we never really ever argued once in the 6-7 years, not hardly ever. And then one thing just blew the whole thing up. I've got to a point in my life where it would be really immature for me to point the finger at somebody. I think when things happen to you, sometimes you just got to take responsibility that actually maybe it was me, maybe I handled the situation wrongly, didn't deal with it properly. Anyway, we fell out. That was my first big kind of like serious like knock in life, because when we fell out, I literally probably within weeks had nothing. Like I just had nothing. And just as that happened, for all this time that my parents had all this crap going on, that's when they decided to separate. I literally, so weird, I found out that I'd been like kind of like kicked out of the business. And I went home to explain to my parents, like, my mum was like, before I even like started, she was like, we're putting the house on the market. And I thought, what? It's a bit weird. And she was like, yeah, finally separating. Weird thing is, when you've got such a high profile reputation, as soon as well, it's other people that put you on that pedestal anyway. You don't put yourself on that pedestal. But as soon as you have a knock or you fall, God, there is a lot of people waiting for that moment, for whatever reason. Because a lot of businesses, they're private, aren't they? If you're in an office, you don't get to see people's mistakes or whatever. But you know, when you do things like this, where it's on a public platform, every little step that you take, every picture that you post, any move that you make is just under a microscope. And that can be sometimes very, very challenging. I think, you know, when you stand out amongst the crowd or you do things that warrant attention, wherever it may be, like this project, it's almost like you're giving everyone a right to criticise you or attack you or moan about you. But I'm thinking, hold on a minute, why don't you ever go? Why don't you try? Why don't you show me how to do it? Why don't you attempt it? Oh no, you just want to stay safe, you know, in your comfort zone, but you still want to have an opinion of why I'm doing such a terrible job. I don't know if, you know, a lot of people have attempted to do business or have a business. You know, you've got your own media company. Running one business at times can be quite challenging, can't it? Joe, imagine opening like 8-9 businesses all in one go. So you're trying to open 8-9 businesses all in one go. On top of that, it's under one big concept and complex. But you know, when you're trying to take everyone on that journey with you and elevate everyone, and that's everyone, including yourself, like people don't realise, like nobody understands my mindset. Like, no, literally, I don't feel anybody understands, like, because I want to elevate everyone around me. Like, That's just what I believe. I believe that my story is that he took everybody on the journey with him and made them into kind of like superstars.